Here we have another episode that I heard people saying was kind of underwhelming that I disagree on. I thought this one was actually really good and made a great attempt to address some of the problems that I've had with the narrative this season so far. Surviving the Spiderbites, an episode which is all about Eclipsa and Star working together to try to reestablish relations with one of the other kingdoms, all of which have cut ties with Muni since Eclipsa took the throne, addressed not only some of Star's incorrect misconceptions about people, but some of Eclipsa's failings. The Spiderbites show up, and Eclipsa's not there to greet them. We don't know where she is. The castle's subjects are looking for her, and it's up to Star to entertain these people who, if you guys don't recall, are at least in some way descended from the very person who Eclipsa left behind to go off with Globgor. Shastacan, who, in this episode we learn was actually eaten by Globgor, which I would imagine is likely the crime that finally got Globgor put in crystal. Star takes the Spiderbites on a tour through Eclipsa's art gallery, shows them a traditional monster dance performance, but little does she know that all of these things are tributes to Globgor and all of the atrocities that he committed. Atrocities that Eclipsa has assured everyone in her court Globgor swore off of when they fell in love. But the fact that she didn't tell Star about what any of this stuff meant suggests that she's far more ashamed of it than she probably should be, and seems to have gotten Star wondering if maybe Eclipsa's not so sure that Globgor has turned over a new leaf as she pretends to be. The behavior of the Spiderbites, the way they seem to be disliking everything that Star shows them, gets her thinking that they must be bigoted against monsters, because so many people in this world are. But rather than just asking them, she confronts them about it, only to be proven wrong when they learn that the Spiderbites' daughter is dating a monster, that slime monster that we saw in an earlier episode. And for the first time in the episode, they actually have a conversation, and we learn that their problem isn't with monsters. They're all for monsters having all these rights and stuff that Eclipse is granting them. At least that's the implication. Their problem is with Globgor specifically, and all of the horrible things that he did. Like, even if there is a conflict going on between humans and monsters, that doesn't mean you have to go around eating people, right? And then there's what he did to Shastacan specifically. Meanwhile, Eclipsa has been helping Glosaric look for just one piece of the spellbook, because she recognizes that she doesn't know enough magic, even though the reason I think she's doing this doesn't really line up with some past continuity, and I'll talk about that in a second. And Star thinks that she may still be looking for a way to free Globgor from the crystal, which would be a huge mistake, since she placated the Spiderbites by showing Globgor in the crystal to them and assuring them that he would never be freed, that he is being kept there where he can't cause any harm. Eclipsa assures Star that that's not the case, and asks if Star knows where just a single fragment of the spellbook is, so that she can use it to give to Glosaric so he can restore it. And Star lies to her. She does, of course, have a small piece of the spellbook. And you can see Glosaric, they show him for just a second. He knows this. He knows that Star is lying. He's being all Glosaric about it. And this implies that after everything that Star learned today, all the things that she learned that Eclipsa kept from her, she may not entirely trust Eclipsa anymore. And frankly, after hearing that Globgor ate one of the kings of Muni, that Eclipsa has filled her halls with art which tributes all of the horrendous things that he did, and that she's lied by omission to everyone around her about all of this for so long, I'm not entirely sure that I trust her either. And it's obvious that this episode, the point of this episode, was to put Eclipsa in doubt. And it did that job beautifully. Like, I know I'm stumbling over my words a little more than I usually do in these reviews, but this episode has gotten me so turned around, I really don't know what to think. I liked it a lot for that. Though I will say that if you come to this show for the humor subplots and stuff, this episode's not for you. There wasn't a B-plot in this episode. There was no Marco making a charming fool of himself in the background or anything like that. There was practically nothing funny about this episode at all. In fact, it was all drama and lore and character building, but I think it did a really good job of all of that. Regarding that thing, though, that I said I think might violate continuity a little bit, I do think that even if she doesn't realize it right now, once Eclipsa gets the spellbook back and starts to learn more of the technical side of magic rather than just the brute force power side of it, she's going to inevitably look for a new way to free Globgor. She's going to feel compelled to do that. She loves him so much, you can just tell. But we already know that Eclipsa knows of at least one way to break Romulus's crystal that doesn't involve Romulus, and I've been putting off talking about this because I was hoping that the show was just waiting to bring it up, but I feel like it would have at this point if it was going to. We know, though, that Eclipsa does know a way to break this crystal, the promise between two queens thing that she used to free herself. And yet all of this is being ignored, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. Though, I get the sense, I got a very strong sense from this episode that we are building to a full reveal of everything that happened back in those final days before Eclipsa and Globgor were put in crystal in the first place. I'm hoping that when we finally get that flashback, it'll clear a lot of stuff up. All of that said, though, as per usual, I'd like to know what do you guys think of this episode if you have seen it. Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over my Discord, link in the description. And if you guys have the time, I'd like to ask that you take the time to check out my Patreon. I still haven't overhauled those reward tiers yet, but at this point I'm pretty much taking any requests you send my way. If you guys enjoy the kind of content I make and want to get involved in creating it, consider becoming one of my patrons. Either way, though, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.